There are mountains in the United States where death does not arrive slowly. There is no long struggle, no gradual realization. Conditions can change in minutes. Clear skies collapse into whiteout storms. Stable snow turns into moving ground. Solid rock gives way without sound. People step onto these mountains believing they're prepared. Some are experienced. Some have climbed harder routes elsewhere. It does not matter. On these peaks, accidents do not build up. They happen all at once. A single weather shift, a sudden fall, an avalanche released from terrain that looked calm seconds earlier. Rescue often arrives after the outcome is already decided. Warnings come too late. Mistakes are not corrected. Because the most dangerous mountains are not the tallest. They're the ones that give no time to react. In mountain environments, danger is often expected to announce itself. Bad weather builds gradually. Terrain becomes visibly unstable. Time exists to turn around. On these mountains, that sequence does not apply. Without warning means conditions cross a fatal threshold instantly. Wind speed doubles in seconds. Temperature drops faster than the body can adjust. Snowpacks fail without visible signs. Experience does not always help. Familiar routes behave differently. Reliable forecasts collapse on sight. By the time danger becomes obvious, there's no longer space to respond. The decision window has already closed.
Number 7. Mount Hood, Oregon. Mount Hood rises above northern Oregon as one of the most recognizable peaks in the Pacific Northwest. At 3,429 meters, or 11,249 feet, it is not the tallest mountain in the United States, it is not the steepest, and it is not remote. That is part of the problem. From a distance, Mount Hood looks approachable. Ski resorts operate on its lower slopes. Well-marked routes lead toward the summit. On clear days, it appears calm and predictable. It is not. Mount Hood is a stratovolcano with rapidly changing alpine weather. Storm systems from the Pacific Ocean can reach the mountain with little notice. Clear skies can disappear in under an hour. Visibility drops to near zero. Wind speeds increase suddenly, often exceeding safe limits for travel. Many accidents on Mount Hood begin the same way. A routine ascent, a familiar route, no obvious signs of danger. Then, conditions shift. Climbers become disoriented in whiteout conditions. Snow bridges collapse without warning. Ice hardens faster than equipment can adapt. A short slip turns into an uncontrolled fall. Despite its accessibility, Mount Hood has a long record of fatalities. Experienced climbers and beginners are both represented. In several cases, victims were within sight of established routes or shelters when conditions changed. Rescue operations are common but limited by weather. High winds and poor visibility frequently delay helicopters. Search teams often arrive hours later, sometimes days. What makes Mount Hood dangerous is not extreme difficulty, it is familiarity. People underestimate it. They assume proximity equals safety. They believe experience elsewhere will translate directly. Mount Hood rarely punishes slowly. Mistakes compound fast. Weather removes options. It is often described as a training mountain, but it behaves like a testing ground. And for some, the test ends without warning.
Number 6. Mount Washington, New Hampshire. Mount Washington rises to just 1,917 meters, or 6,288 feet, in New Hampshire's White Mountains. By elevation alone, it should not be dangerous. It is lower than many peaks people climb casually. It is one of the deadliest mountains in the United States. Mount Washington sits at the intersection of multiple weather systems. Cold air from Canada collides with warm Atlantic moisture. Wind is funneled upward through narrow valleys and accelerated over the summit. The result is extreme weather that forms quickly and violently. The mountain once recorded the highest surface wind speed ever measured on Earth. Even today, hurricane-force winds are common. Temperatures can drop tens of degrees in minutes. Wind chill regularly reaches fatal levels. What makes Mount Washington especially dangerous is exposure. Tree line is low. Once above it, there is nowhere to hide. Hikers often begin their ascent under clear skies. Forecasts appear stable. The summit looks close. Then the clouds arrive. Visibility collapses almost instantly. Trails disappear under snow and ice. Wind knocks people off balance. Communication becomes impossible. Many fatalities occur within a short distance of safety. Some victims were less than a kilometer from shelters or the summit buildings. Others were experienced hikers who misjudged how fast conditions could change. Terrain hazards add to the risk. Rocky slopes become ice-covered without warning. A simple step can turn into a fall that cannot be stopped. In winter, avalanches and frostbite become immediate threats. Rescue teams operate year-round, but response times are limited by weather. In severe conditions, help may not reach the mountain at all. Mount Washington has earned a reputation for unpredictability, not because it is technically difficult, but because it removes margin. The mountain does not escalate danger gradually. It crosses thresholds suddenly, and once it does, there is no space left to adapt.
Number 5. Mount Rainier, Washington. Mount Rainier dominates the skyline of Washington state. At 4,392 meters, or 14,411 feet, it is the tallest mountain in the Cascade Range. Its size alone commands attention. But its danger is not immediately visible. Mount Rainier is a massive stratovolcano covered by the largest glacier system in the contiguous United States. More than 24 named glaciers move constantly across its slopes. They shift, fracture, and reform without warning. Climbers often underestimate this terrain. Routes are well documented. Thousands attempt the summit every year. Permits, ranger briefings, and fixed camps create a sense of structure. That structure can disappear quickly. Crevasses open beneath snow bridges that appear solid moments earlier. Icefalls collapse without visible triggers. A single step can break through into a fall that offers no recovery. Weather adds another layer of unpredictability. Storms can form rapidly around the mountain's bulk. Whiteout conditions erase depth perception. Wind intensifies as it interacts with the glaciers and ridgelines. Many fatal accidents on Mount Rainier happen fast. Falls into crevasses, ice and rockfall triggered by warming temperatures. Avalanches released on slopes that seemed stable earlier in the day. In several cases, experienced climbers were involved. Teams following established routes encountered conditions that changed within minutes. Rescue efforts were complicated by altitude, weather, and terrain. Helicopters are often unable to fly. Ground teams must move slowly through hazardous zones. Recovery, when possible, can take days. Mount Rainier does not rely on a single lethal factor. It combines multiple risks at once: glaciers, exposure, weather. Decisions that would be manageable on other mountains become irreversible here. Turning around is not always possible. Waiting can be just as dangerous as moving. Rainier's reputation is not built on constant disasters. It is built on sudden ones. The mountain gives little indication of when conditions cross the line, and when they do, the outcome is often immediate.
Number 4. Denali, Alaska. Denali rises higher than any mountain in North America. At 6,190 meters, or 20,310 feet, it dominates the Alaska Range. Its elevation alone places it in a different category. But height is only part of the danger. Denali's latitude intensifies everything. At this far north, air pressure at the summit feels closer to much higher Himalayan peaks. Cold is more severe. Weather systems are larger and less predictable. Storms can last for days, sometimes weeks. Temperatures regularly fall below -30 degrees Celsius. Wind chill pushes exposure into lethal territory within minutes. Frostbite is not a gradual threat. It can occur before climbers realize what is happening. Avalanches are a constant hazard. Snow accumulates rapidly on steep faces. Weak layers form without obvious signs. Entire slopes can release with no audible warning. Icefall presents another risk. Seracs collapse suddenly, sending massive blocks of ice down established routes. Climbers moving efficiently through these zones still rely on timing and luck. Falls on Denali are rarely survivable. Steep terrain combined with heavy packs leaves no margin. A slip can result in a long, uncontrolled descent. Rescue on Denali is limited and uncertain. Weather frequently grounds aircraft. High-altitude evacuations are rare. In many cases, teams must self-rescue or wait. Fatal incidents often involve experienced climbers, people who understood the risks, people who planned carefully. What they could not control was timing. Conditions change without notice. A stable slope fails. A clear day collapses into a storm. Cold intensifies faster than shelter can be built. Denali does not escalate danger gradually. It enforces thresholds. Once crossed, there is no space to adapt, no rapid retreat, no immediate help. The mountain does not need constant movement to be lethal. It waits, and when it acts, it does so without warning. Mount Shasta, California. Mount Shasta rises alone in Northern California, separated from other major peaks by long distances of lower terrain. At 4,322 meters, or 14,179 feet, it is one of the most prominent mountains in the United States. Its isolation creates its own weather. Storm systems can form rapidly around the mountain's bulk. Moist Pacific air is forced upward, cooling quickly. Clear conditions at lower elevations often mean nothing higher up. Shasta is frequently described as a straightforward climb. Several popular routes do not require advanced technical skills under ideal conditions. That reputation has drawn thousands of climbers over the decades. It has also contributed to fatalities. Most deaths on Mount Shasta occurred during descent. Weather deteriorates after summit attempts. Visibility collapses. Wind increases sharply. Climbers lose their route and move on to steeper terrain without realizing it. One of the mountain's most dangerous features is its long, smooth slopes. In good conditions, they appear manageable. When covered in hard ice, they become lethal. A slip can accelerate instantly. There are no natural brakes. Self-arrest may not work once speed builds. Several fatal accidents involved highly experienced mountaineers. In multiple cases, climbers fell thousands of feet in seconds. There was no opportunity to recover. Avalanches add another layer of unpredictability. Warm temperatures destabilize snowpacks quickly. Wet slides can release on slopes that seem stable earlier the same day. Rescue is often delayed. Shasta's size and isolation slow response times. Weather frequently prevents helicopters from flying. In some incidents, victims were visible from below but unreachable. Mount Shasta's danger does not come from constant hostility. It comes from how fast conditions flip. A mountain that feels open and forgiving can become unmanageable in minutes. Route-finding errors happen silently. Small mistakes compound instantly. Experience helps until it doesn't. Familiarity can create false confidence. On Shasta, the line between routine and fatal is thin, and once crossed, there is no recovery window. Mount Whitney, California. Mount Whitney is the highest mountain in the contiguous United States. It rises to 4,421 meters, or 14,505 feet, along the eastern edge of California's Sierra Nevada. It is also one of the most accessible. A maintained trail leads towards the summit. Permits regulate traffic. Thousands of people reach the top every year. That accessibility hides the real danger. Mount Whitney's elevation creates a sharp physiological threshold. Above 4,000 meters, oxygen levels drop enough to impair judgment, coordination, and decision-making. For many climbers, symptoms begin without warning. Altitude sickness escalates fast. Headaches turn into confusion. Balance deteriorates. In severe cases, fluid builds in the lungs or brain. These conditions are medical emergencies. On Whitney, they often unfold far from immediate help. Weather compounds the risk. Storms move in quickly from the Pacific. Afternoon thunderstorms are common. Lightning, hail, and sudden temperature drops catch climbers high on exposed terrain. Several fatal incidents involved rapid weather changes near the summit. People were forced to descend in poor visibility. Exhaustion set in. Route errors followed. Falls are another leading cause of death. Steep sections near the summit funnel climbers into narrow paths. Ice can form unexpectedly, even in summer. A slip in these zones leaves little chance to stop. Rescue on Mount Whitney is challenging despite its popularity. The trail is long, terrain is steep, weather often limits helicopter access. In many cases, rescue teams arrive hours after the initial emergency. For altitude-related incidents, that delay is critical. What makes Mount Whitney especially dangerous is how normal it feels. Many people attempt it without prior high-altitude experience. Some underestimate the physical and mental strain. Decisions made at lower elevations no longer apply near the top. Turning back becomes harder as exhaustion increases. Symptoms cloud judgment at the worst possible moment. Mount Whitney does not rely on extreme terrain to be lethal. It relies on speed. Conditions cross medical and environmental thresholds quickly. Once crossed, outcomes are often irreversible. Grand Teton, Wyoming. Grand Teton rises sharply from Wyoming's Jackson Hole Valley. At 4,199 meters, or 13,775 feet, it is not the tallest in the Rockies. It is not the most remote, but it is among the most unpredictable. The mountain's steep faces and jagged ridges create a complex terrain. Climbers encounter rock, ice, and snow in rapid succession. Slopes can appear stable and then fail within minutes. Weather forms and dissipates without warning. Clear skies in the valley may conceal thunderstorms building over the peaks. Wind speeds can jump from calm to hurricane force. Temperature drops and hypothermia can set in before climbers realize they are exposed. Avalanches are frequent on the Teton glaciers. Even small snowslides can sweep climbers into lethal terrain. Icefall occurs on mixed routes, often without audible cues. Rockfall is constant, triggered by warming temperatures or shifts in adjacent slopes. Many fatalities involve experienced climbers. Some had multiple previous ascents. Some were familiar with the routes. None were immune to sudden conditions. Falls are amplified by exposure. A slip on a narrow ridge often results in a long, uncontrolled descent. Snow and ice prevent self-arrest. Loose rock may fracture underfoot. One error leaves no margin for correction. Rapid decision-making is critical, but often impossible. Mistakes compound instantly. Waiting, moving too slowly, or attempting the obvious route can all end in disaster. Rescue is difficult. Access points are limited. Weather delays helicopters. Ground teams take hours to reach the injured. By the time help arrives, outcomes are often predetermined. Grand Teton's danger is a combination of factors. Terrain, exposure, weather, and altitude converge unpredictably. No single hazard dominates. It is the interaction of all that creates the lethal environment. The mountain tests every skill simultaneously. Route finding, judgment, endurance, and technical ability are all challenged. A lapse in any one domain can trigger an irreversible sequence. Grand Teton does not provide warning. It does not allow rehearsal. It does not forgive hesitation. For those who venture onto its slopes, the mountain's lesson is simple. The line between safety and fatality is crossed in seconds, and once crossed, there is no recovery. Mountains do not announce their danger. They do not wave a warning flag or signal their deadly potential. Their threats exist quietly, beneath the surface, in the patterns of snow, rock, and wind. Across the United States, peaks like Mount Hood, Denali, and Grand Teton teach the same lesson. The tallest, the most famous, the most accessible, none are immune to sudden change. A lapse of seconds can turn experience into vulnerability. A single misstep can become a fatal fall. Weather, terrain, and exposure combine in ways no forecast can fully predict. Maps, guides, and experience are tools, not guarantees. On these mountains, conditions decide outcomes faster than human skill can respond. For climbers, hikers, and explorers, the lesson is clear. Respect the mountain, but do not assume control. Expect that the unexpected is not just possible, it is inevitable. Some mountains invite admiration. Others demand caution. The most dangerous do not shout. They wait. And when they act, it is always without warning.